might be the worst day to do this.
Hopefully the people will understand about the traction issues. Yo, what's up everybody, and welcome to a new feature video that has been absolutely destroyed by the weather before we've even started, but we're definitely still going to do this today because this car is sick. I'm joined by Chris, the owner of the vehicle, and James, the builder of said vehicle. James, also known as Tegboy, so if I call him that, I just need to make people apparent that I've known you for so long and that has been your name since we first met. So Chris, we're about to show you the car, and here it is. Tegboy. Are we going to talk about the car now? Normally on these features it'd be a little bit of talking about the car and then going out in the car with the owner, but this car in this weather does not just doesn't work. So unfortunately we're in this very foggy situation where it's very damp and we've got a very powerful car in front of us, but we're going to turn this into a positive. And it gives me another excuse to come back and hang out and do a track day, I guess, and, you know... Maybe here. So, we're kind of like snuck into Bedford Aerodrome's space here. Is it Aerodrome or track? Autodrome, whatever it's called. Like, very appreciative of the guard on the front gate that just didn't care. So, grateful for that. So, let's talk about the car. Let's go into some detail about it. And we'll use today as a real spec check. And, you know, we'll get some rolling shots of it and that. But there's not a whole lot we can do in terms of putting the power down. But, you know, we've arranged today. So, let's make the most of it, shall we? Let's tell the story. You got this car...
So I've had this about 5 years. Bought it as the previous owner had done some modifications, turn it into a basic track car. I thought I'd keep it like that and just have some fun, not too much money. And then
and then you met this guy.
Year on year, just more money gets spent on it, and now it's like this.
It's turned into this absolute
kind of complete, really.
Absolute monster. So before we go under the bonnet and show the people where the magic happens, let's go around some of the spec of the vehicle on the outside. So we're going to go here first. What wheels are these? We have Wed Sport TC 105s, because I just got that wrong. Thank you for adjusting. And they're beautiful, followed with the AP Racing Pro 5000R brake kit behind that. And it's got the cool... What discs are they? I assume they are AP Racing discs as well.
So it's a remember Raylan Motors, you know Raylan Motors, so it's a Raylan kit.
Oh, it is a Raylan kit, is it?
They build it around the caliper for whatever car you've got. If they don't have it on the shelf, or they don't have a spec for it, they will build it for you. But they've done S2000s before, so it's a kit that they sell. We knew it'd work, we knew it'd fit. And so they build their own disc, build their bells, and then build it around the caliper. So.
That's so cool, man. Yeah. And what a setup. Like, that is serious.
They're... I guess you class it as a British touring car spec caliper, spec disc. It's got a race pad in it, Pagid RS29s.
Yep.
So it's
cool.
It's a track pad.
Track pad. And you're running AD08Rs on there, are they?
For now.
Yes.
Are they AD08s or the new ones? So they're the previous ones.
They're the not RSs.
So the good ones that everyone was, they were much more happy with than this new set, right? Like, I've heard a lot of complaints about the...
I mean, realistically, it's probably going to be the next upgrade, isn't it? Because
I think so.
NA, when it was NA, and I guess in its early power levels or whatever, they're a good tyre, but you've had how many heat cycles in these now?
Oh, many
like many track days on these tyres.
Yeah.
They've still got tread on amazingly, so they're actually a very good tyre for longevity.
Yeah.
That's probably the limit of the car at the moment, because it's got the power, the chassis is incredible, but it probably lacks a little bit of tyre grip when you're sort of on the limit.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So as we come around here, I assume the rear brakes are also upgraded.
Yeah.
Talk me through this.
So it's is it Saki Bomb?
Saki Bomb
Saki
garage,
Bomb.
yeah.
So basically, it's a Mustang rear disc,
Right.
and an RX-8 caliper.
Right.
With the Saki Bomb kit to adapt the calipers, adapt the handbrakes and all the brake line stuff. The reason we did it is because S2000s have a solid rear disc, so they can suffer from warping. They get hot. They're not the best option on track. So you can upgrade the pad and put a better disc in, but we thought if we're doing the front, let's do the back, so you have a decent match of brakes. So now it's a vented disc. I think the pad's a similar size and similar size caliper, but it's a bigger disc and it's vented. So
Yeah. Obviously the car is lowered, and I'm going to assume by the fact that you've got a very, very well-spec'd brake kit on this car, it's going to have a very well-spec'd suspension too.
Yeah, it's pretty decent. I mean, you could, apart from going fully rose jointed and wise fab, this is probably as decent as it gets.
So what is it sat on? It's on
Olin DFEs, and then everything's polybushed. It has bump steer kit in the front. It has roll centre kit. It has what size is the front roll bar?
41.
It's the front roll bar. So it's got a bigger front roll bar and a smaller rear roll bar, again from Saki Bomb. And it was their spec Olins, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
they're revalved.
It's a
Wow, okay, cool.
sprung DFE with their spec roll bars as a kit, and then it's got stock arms on the front with an SPC camber ball joint, camber arms on the back, proper toe arms with adjustment, because you get to a point if you go too low and you can't get the toe back into spec with the camber you want, so we've got toe arms as well.
Well, you're a man after my own heart with this spec list, because we've got Olin's, AP Racing, and then as we open this door in here, Caro pole positions, finish with the black Takatas. I want to just speak directly to you about this, because obviously me and you come from the Honda boys from way back when everybody had green Takatas. Have you still got them? Yeah.
Right.
When they brought these out, I was so happy, because I love Takata, but them green, they were just everywhere, weren't they? Do you remember back in the day, they were just everywhere? So that is a wicked combo, and I love that they keep the little green accents on there. As we look behind there is a roll cage. Now, what sort of spec is that built to? Is that like a bolt-in straight off the shelf, or is this a custom?
Yeah, well,
it was the prototype.
Do you want to tell the story?
So Tegboy were having safety devices build a cage that they ultimately wanted to sell. So they wanted someone to take on the prototype and then get it all fitted. I had different seats at that time, like slightly larger ones, and James had a little bit of trouble trying to get it all to work, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, they somehow, well, I say somehow, they built the cage with they had a stock seat,
Yeah.
and some steel framed bucket, which no one uses anymore, because you don't. So they built the cage that somehow worked perfectly with them two seats. I fitted the cage. The actual fitting the cage wasn't a problem. It's built really well. It goes in, there's no issues with that. But them coming to seat fitment, it just wasn't going to work. The Sparcos that were in it, you couldn't get them far enough back. The angle was all, they're tilted back a little bit, them seats. They just didn't fit. So we had to go, there was an option. I thought we could have a bride, however you say it now.
Bride, it's bride to me, yeah.
Some brides or SPGs. I think they were the only two options from what I could sort of work out on the internet and what I'd know from what size seats are. I remember you had a sheet with lots of seat sizes on, dimensions, because if you get it wrong, you spend this money on some pole positions and they don't fit.
I mean, there's like £1,500 worth of just seats alone there, so you have to get it right.
And even then,
It was still a punt though.
It was still a punt. It was a punt
before we knew they would definitely work.
So that was a case of the cage is in, you can't drive it because the seats don't fit. So we had to sort of find a seat that fit, and that was the option.
And thank God they do, because they are perfect. I love them seats so much. They're so good. Shall we pop the bonnet and have a look at the pièce de résistance? So here we are. We have the money maker here. Do you want to talk us through the spec of this thing, man? Because this is...
Yeah, well, essentially a stock motor.
Stock motor. That's what's the most impressive thing to me, is that you're ramming all this power through an absolute stock motor and it handles it no problem at all.
So it's built around a low mount TTX Rotrex kit. It's a C3891, so the bigger charger. I think they do a bigger charger now, but at the time I think it was one of the biggest chargers they do. The card was the aircon had been removed previously.
I think the aircon had already gone anyway.
Yeah, so
for weight.
Yeah.
So chose the bottom mount kit, which does away with the aircon, but that had already gone anyway. So the bottom mount, you said it's easier to maintain.
Yeah. So if you have an issue and you throw a belt, which I've seen the top mount kits do, you have to basically disassemble the whole supercharger and bracketry kit to put another belt on.
Right.
Whereas with this, everything's accessible. It's still as it was NA. You can still get to the belt. You can still do stuff on the engine. There's still like it's far easier to be able to work on it.
So it's almost like a cost-saving thing to get this kit in case of any.
If it's a track car, there has to be some kind of.
This guy's just doing laps, mate. He's even given us a wave that time.
It just made more sense to go for this kit, which this was like initially the thing. Yeah, that would be better because it's bottom out. But then we didn't realise when the kit turned up, it's basically this kit was designed for a time attack car, and you got the charger, you got all the pulleys, and you got the boost pipes and the intercooler, but the rest of it didn't fit because it's all down the side. The coolant hoses are meant to go down the side, and there was a lot of stuff where you have to relocate the fuse box, the battery. Obviously, lucky it had a smaller battery in, but there's stuff that just didn't fit because it wasn't designed to be put into a car that was a stock car. I think it was if you build a race car, everything comes out. You put the engine in and put stuff in it that you need, but not stuff you don't need. So we had to kind of redo the coolant lines. We have a hard line coolant hose for the top, repositioned the lower one. So it was a bit more work, but I think for the effort that it took, it ends up being a better kit because the accessibility and the sort of maintenance side is far better.
You also were saying about the suspension stuff. Is that big yellow bar, the roll bar, sorry, you're talking about?
Roll bar, as you see.
Yeah, it's very thick.
Sizable unit.
Very, very thick. And then is there intercooling and all that coolant?
So an intercooler in the front. There's an oil cooler that's just a custom oil cooler we built some brackets to mount the cooler. There's a cooler for the Rotrex and then the radiator. So there's a lot of
cooling going on
in the front.
But luckily the S2000 has the space for.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's enough room behind the bumper. There's enough room in front of the engine. There's loads of room to put stuff.
Yeah. And what power does this currently put out? Because I was actually there when you mapped it. Do you remember? I was there when.
That was a check.
Power
check.
Yeah.
That was in the alignment video.
Yeah.
So it makes 450 on I think just over a bar of boost. I can't remember the torque number, but it ramps up. Like, I mean, if anyone's driven a Rotrex car, they know that revs equals boost. So the higher you go up in the revs, the faster the charger spins, the more boost the engine makes.
Yeah.
So it's great on these cars because it still feels NA. It still feels like an S2000 or a Honda should feel. The VTEC still does its thing. It doesn't make boost and really spiky like a turbo kind of does, so you can map it out. But I like that it still feels NA. It still feels like an S2000, but the faster the revs build, the more boost you get, the faster the car goes. So
the graph is literally like that.
Yeah, the power line is power. It just goes up. And that's what I like about it, and that's why we kind of chose this route.
Sure.
Because it makes really good traction. Like I say, in the dry, not today, but in the dry, second, third gear isn't an issue, even though it makes good power and the torque builds with revs, so it's very drivable. It makes good traction.
Because we did everything first, so it was suspension, weight reduction, cage, seats, all of that sort of stuff. The engine was the last piece of the puzzle, and by that point, it kind of needed more power.
Yeah, that's
it was definitely ready for it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
well, it's very cool. And the only other thing I think we haven't spoke about is like what the ECUs and all that sort of stuff. So it's running off an AEM
EMS Series 2.
Yeah,
Series 2.
Yeah.
Yep. Is the wiring loom all standard still?
Yeah, it's all plug-in. The only thing you change is the map sensor. And injectors.
And what exhaust is it running? Because I see it's got a Tegboy manifold that you've had coated, right?
Yeah. Again, just coated to try and. The thing with this car is fighting temperatures, so keeping the engine cool and the engine bay cool and not having overheating issues.
Uh-huh.
Because it does make big power. The more power you make, the more cooling you need in the car. So we spent a lot of time trying to keep it cool on circuit, and then trying to keep temperatures down in the engine bay. So that's kind of the last thing we've done.
Yep.
Yeah, on the road it's no problem at all. Nothing doesn't pick up much temperature at all. But on track, after sort of half a dozen laps, on a hot day, you are rising up. So that's why we've tried to keep it underbody a bit.
And then off of the manifold, is it custom or is it an off-the-shelf kit? Or because you said in the car, because another problem, one of the reasons why we're doing all this talking out of the car is, oh my goodness me, it's still loud inside, and I do not have microphones or anything that would be able to pick our voices up properly.
It's loud, but it's drony.
It's drony, but I only saying that like because on the cameras it would pick up that. Whoa. Is it? Oh, Tanabe, is it?
Tanabe, yeah. Touring medallion.
So basically, this is a quiet exhaust. But because it is boosted and it kind of makes more power, I guess it's louder than an A1 would be. But as I was saying on the way over here, we had to add a fourth silencer.
It's ironic we're here.
Ironic, yeah. We're in Bedford Autodrome, which has the worst sound levels for a track in
right.
the UK. And it's kind of Chris's local track, so
you had to make it work.
We had to make it work here, because if you can work here and you can do laps here and not get pinged,
you can do anywhere.
You can go pretty much anywhere.
Brilliant. Well, I do want to go out in it today. I still want to give the audience, you know, something to see. We're obviously going to get rolling shots and all that, but I've got a couple of questions to ask you, Chris, and I know you're not fond of being on camera that much, but I'd really like just to ask you a couple of questions, because I want my features to be more personalised and really so people can go and get an insight to you. So you said you bought it 5 years ago, and we've only just met today, and you very graciously let me come to your beautiful house, and I can see your other car over there, and I saw your other vehicles you got, so I know your pockets aren't empty.
They are now.
But I just wondered, like, out of all of the cars you could afford to do this to, what made you go for an S2000? It's not me having a dig at them, because I think these are friggin' awesome cars, you know, but you're obviously on that level of when you spend this sort of money, you know, you are on a level playing field where you can realistically buy whatever you want to use as your toy.
A couple of things. I bought a new EP3 Civic Type R years ago, so I think it was a 2004.
Cool.
No. Yeah, about that.
When they were new,
yeah, it was a new car, and I remember sitting in an S2000 at the dealership and thinking one day I wouldn't mind an S2000. You know, it's just so snug in there, like really tight. So yeah, and then when I was looking for a track car just to have some fun in, this one came up, good price. Already had some bits and pieces done to it. I liked the colour.
Yes, beautiful.
So yeah, that was it.
Yeah, it's cool, man. So you obviously come from a little bit of a Honda background as well. Then, if you had the EP3, so it's kind of like a natural progression.
Yeah,
I feel like.
A few Hondas actually. Yeah,
cool.
This is the third, fourth Honda, I think. Yeah.
And
I like 'em.
And you obviously got your new car as well, your beautiful new Porsche. How do you feel that this compares? Like, have you really been able to drive the Porsche much? Because I know you've only just got it, so.
I only had it a few days really. Size-wise, I was surprised with the Porsche about how tight it actually feels. It's similar to the S2000 inside. Obviously they're going to be a completely different sort of car. They're going to use them in a different way. This is now pushed to being, I guess, pretty much just my track car now. And then the Porsche will be used for road trips and stuff. But,
but I think
I will get them both on track at some point.
Yeah, I think as well, this is just me talking from my own experience with having a car that I had on the road. You know all too well, my Civic was like my car that I took to all the shows, and I used to drive it all the time at night and be naughty in it. And then when I kind of made it my dedicated track car and I took it off the road and it no longer had a registration or anything like that, and it's now my out-and-out track car, it's that much more special to me, because every time I go and look at it, I'm like, oh, we're going to have some fun today. It's like one of those things where it's not like, oh man, I've got to put my harnesses on and drive to the car event and it's going to be horrible, I've got no heating. It's like, right, we're going to beat the living hell out of you today, you know, little car, let's go have some fun, and if we break you at the end of it, we'll fix you again. And it's I think it's like a real, you almost like bond with it a little bit, because it becomes a purposeful bit of kit in your life, instead of like, oh man, I've got to drive that horrible I mean, you've got Ohlins on this, so that the drive over was amazing. So like, you know, this isn't as uncomfortable as what mine was.
It's a comfy road.
Yeah. You've made it even better by putting coilovers on it. How? What? hope everybody on the video likes this type of video. I know it's not as chaotic with all the driving around. We are going to take it out real quick and get some nice shots of it, but like I said, in the car it was just too loud to do an interview, especially on today with the weather being like, it looks fine in camera really, but like you can barely see that tower over there while we're here, so
this is freezing.
our hands are numb, they're gone so bright they're red. Obviously we're talking about the suspension and all that sort of stuff, and you just said it also got a Quaife diff in it.
Yes, Quaife diff. I think on track the diff just destroyed itself.
Right.
That was quite early on when I had it, so bought the Quaife diff, had it all rebuilt, and then only about a year ago it had another problem with the differential.
Yes.
Didn't it?
Yeah. Apparently, although this is more of a thing that we've learnt recently, so these with power, the diffs, they can't take it too well.
Right, okay.
So the diff has now been, all the diff casing has been modified now. So apparently the caps on the bearings, when they're on the high load or torque coming out of a corner, especially if they make good traction, they just can't take the load and they shear the caps off, or shear the cam on the locking ring.
Right, okay.
The cap on the locking ring. So all that's now been beefed up and everything's been pinned, so effectively it shouldn't have any more issues now.
Cool. And that, obviously this is another little thing. I want to plug you guys. You've always been such a good friend to me over the years of knowing each other. I even did the photography at your wedding, didn't I? That's how like how close we are, just so people on the cameras know. Like when you bring a car like this that you're putting, like with all due respect, a lot of money into, like it is a big old wedge of cash that you're throwing at this. You take it to a professional motorsport outfit with a guy that I consider a Honda guru, you end up with a masterpiece of a car instead of just taking it to a place where the guy's kind of like, oh, I don't really know, but we'll work it out. It's kind of like, well, I know these cars inside out. I will make this. If you've got the wallet, I can make this amazing. So
I try to think, well, I'd like to think that by now of doing this for 20 years that I know my way around these cars. Or I know what's good for them, what's not, but...
What? Oh, so is this like a...
Yes, that comes off.
Does it come off, yeah?
Yeah.
And what brand is this? Zanardi?
Yes, it is.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So I didn't see the badge, but I just saw it written on there. So you got the Nardi.
The badge, put a Honda one on.
Yeah.
So I kind of tied it all in. Nice.
So it's a 330, I'd assume.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And then down here we've got the AFR gauge and a water temperature gauge down here. I've actually got one of these to put in my Sylvia. It's sat at home in the box.
That was the main one for this, was water temperatures.
Needed to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, that's the one thing that we've had to fight or work to.
Temperatures, yeah.
Temperatures on track.
Can I borrow the key just to start the dash up? Because this is one of my favourite things from the Honda, like the Honda S2000, and
they're still cool, aren't
they are still cool. And obviously I had that EG, didn't I, with the S2000 dash in for a little while. Let's start this up. Oh, it's just so cool! Oh, I love it so much. Like the dials in these cars, right, are just so much fun.
It still gets me that these were designed, built in effectively
the 90s.
This is a late 90s car.
This is ridiculous, and it's still brilliant.
It's got double wishbone, it's got an incredible engine, which still today, power per litre, hasn't been matched by many cars. The interior is cool, they're a proper driver's car. They built these, I think, 10 years too early.
Yeah. I have to also, I'm gonna tell everybody out there why I'm so fond of the S2000, because when I was 15, I was the youngest in my year at school, so I went and did my work experience as the youngest in the year, and I didn't want to do any work experience anywhere that the school was telling me, so I set it up myself with the Honda dealer in a different county to let me go and be like the work experience bitch, basically, where you're changing the prices in the cars and getting told to go get a long wait for the door window, and you stand there for 15 minutes and you're like, what is it? Is that a long enough wait? Yeah, I think so, mate.
Long wheel wait, yeah.
The S2000 back then was my first proper VTEC experience, and when I say that, I mean I'd been in like my family cars, but my parents had never had VTIs or anything. We'd always had like GLs, like normal Hondas, you know, CRVs and stuff. Yeah. Chris Hepton, the boss, who still is the boss of John Banks Honda, took me out, like one of the company directors there, he took me out in an S2000. It was the light blue one. I can remember it so vividly. Yeah. We're talking half my life ago, like over half my life ago. And he took me out in it, and I couldn't see over the dashboard because I was that little. And I still am, to be fair, but you know, he took me out in it, and I can remember hitting VTEC, and it was just, that was the moment that it all went wrong for me. Because that was it. I was just like, he was like, how does that? And I remember going, oh my God, this is the best car ever. I was like, this is the most insane thing I've ever been in my life.
It's mad because I've literally got the similar story.
Yeah. Shall we go out in it real quick and just try and get some footage of just something, we're being kicked out of here by a very polite man. I'm not. He's not technically kicked us out, but he kindly said, "Can you leave?" without saying that. So I'm just taking it upon myself to say we're going to leave here now. Try and find somewhere to try and get some form of video, because this thing just spins in this damp road.
I'm not Chris Harris. I wish I was, but
so yeah, we'll try and find something. I really want to give the people the noise and the experience as well, so we'll try to figure something out at least. It just spins so much.
This is not, I wouldn't say it's not fun, but it's just, it's not fun. It's definitely been set up as a track car and dry day, and the tyres aren't right for this weather.
Yeah, it's just a shame. Go on. Oh my god, it just feels so fast. And the second VTEC's about to kick in, that rear end just goes loose, doesn't it? I can feel it from here, I'm holding on for dear life.
It's weird though, because to me that feels slow because of how it normally feels in the drive.
Yeah. But to me, that feels like it's about to unload.
That's like gently rolling into it, but when it's dry, you can't drive it like
can't wait.
you would an NA one. It's really weird.
The best thing about this for me, Tegboy, is that it means I get to come and do part 2 of this. Like
exactly.
This is like the thing. Like it's cool. Like do like this. It's like a spec chat more than anything, isn't it? Like
I mean, if this was mine and I'd done loads of miles in it and know this car inside out, like probably be able to drive it a lot faster. But 1, it's not mine. 2, it's cost a lot to build. 3, it's not the kind of day where you want to go.
Yeah. I mean, you can see how wet it is on the road.
It's just horrible. AJ convinced me to do this. I would say this is enjoyable, but it isn't. Terrible weather. What are we doing? What are we doing? I guess this is the one advantage of modern cars. They definitely make speed far more accessible on days like this, or even any day for anyone that's an average driver. Like myself, I'm not saying I'm a good driver, but on an average day, you could drive a modern car far faster than you'd be able to drive this. I mean, this isn't set up for days like this. It's definitely set up for a warm, dry track day, but I mean, without traction control and stability control and all that sort of stuff, it does make a difference. Definitely.
Hopefully the people will understand about the traction issues. So that brings today to a close. Chris, James, thank you so much for this. Even in these weather, you brought the car out for me. I know, it's so crazy. I've got to drive home in this. I'm 2.5 hours away. It took me 3 hours to get here today. Yeah, so I wish I was going home in that. So Chris, do you want to shout anything out? Have you got an Instagram or anything like that? No. Oh,
all good.
Well, I follow Northampton Motorsport, I guess, and Tegboy. There we go. Yeah. Then you can kind of, because you post this car a lot, don't you? So people can keep up with that, and
you can probably tell that I like this car, and I've even had people even said to me, "Is it yours?" It's not. I wish it was. But
yeah. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for watching. Really hope you've enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe for plenty more car content to come. And yeah, there's going to be photos of this on the website as well, so check that out. Right. We're getting this car back.
Come on a track day.
Yeah, you're part of the 621 family now, so yeah, this is it. Right, this car will be back on the channel, and it'll be going very, very fast in the dry. I cannot wait for it to overtake me in my Civic. We're out. Cheers for watching, guys. Thank you so much. See you in the next one. Peace.